And thank you guys all for calling in. This is exciting. We have an amazing topic, an amazing speaker with an amazing topic for you tonight. It's high yielding questions, and I don't want to take any of Alicia's thunder, but I will tell you, Alicia is Hugh on our team who is very quickly headed to NMD. And she is just amazing. So I'll let you take it away, Alicia.
Thank you, Janice. I'm so excited to be here tonight. This is my favorite topic. And as I was preparing tonight, I was reminded of how much I love this. I love this. This is truly my favorite thing to do. And I am extremely passionate about it because when I came to this business, one thing I knew for sure, I didn't know how to do it. And one thing I did was rely completely on the people who had gone before me to teach me how to do this business. And I swear to this day, I went from making $0 a month to making $2,000 a month in 13 months because I did that. Because I didn't act like I knew how to do this business. I relied on Janice and Michelle wholeheartedly. And after a year being in the business, they connected me with a trainer who taught me a lot about high yielding questions. And I took that on wholeheartedly and I learned everything I could from it. And I noticed I was listening to some old calls that we did to prepare for this. And I was like, oh my goodness, all the stuff I do today, I learned from this stuff that I did in the past. And it's automatic for me today, but it was not automatic for me when I was learning it. Okay. And I'm going to tell you that we have several things that we do wrong. Let's just get these out of the way. Okay. Because I want you to not do them wrong. And I remember Janice saying this, you can talk somebody into Juice Plus and right out of Juice Plus in the same conversation. I was like, well, how do you do that? And I now know that you absolutely can, because we mistake a conversation for a presentation. And when we do that, we often ruin our chances of actually getting somebody to an event that would actually sell them the product. Our job is not to sell Juice Plus. I bet everybody on this call came to this business saying, oh my gosh, I don't wish to be a salesperson. Can anybody raise their hand if that's the truth for you?
Yeah.
Okay. It was for me. I was like, I don't want to be a salesperson. I don't want to be that person. I don't want to walk in the room and everybody avert their heads when I come into the room. I didn't want to have anything to do with any of that kind of stuff. And Michelle, who's the one who brought me into this, is extremely outgoing and so passionate about Juice Plus. And I was so afraid I could never live up to being like her. I didn't think I could do this business at all. So because of that, I was like, okay, well, how did you do that? What did you do? Tell me how to do that. What do I say next? What's next? What did I do next? Blah, 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 blah. And I did this literally conversation per conversation per conversation per conversation. And did I drive you crazy, Janice, with every single phone call that I made to you asking you?
Absolutely.
What do I say next? What do I say next? What do I say next? No. And I literally did that, guys. I literally did that. And we don't get bothered by you guys doing that with us. We want you to do that because we want you to be successful. Every one of you has come to this moment with a dream, with a hope of an outcome, right? And so if I can't help you have the very best outcome, I'm not doing my job. So I want to help you do that. So first of all, we overtalk. That's one of the things we do incorrectly. We talk people in, we talk people out. Another thing we do incorrectly is we don't really listen. Even if we're asking questions, many times we actually don't really listen. And if we don't listen to understand somebody's need or pain, we actually really have nothing to say to them. Even if we have a list of 1,000 reasons why we know they need Juice Plus, if they haven't told us why they need Juice Plus, product or business, we have nothing to say to them. Does that make sense to you guys? Are you following that?
Yes.
Okay. And we all know everybody needs Juice Plus, right?
Absolutely.
Okay, but getting them to tell us why they need Juice Plus is the talent in this situation. Even if they're your best friend and you know they feed their kids crap every day, if they don't think that's a problem, you've got nothing to say to them. Okay? And so that's one of the other things we do wrong. And here's the third thing I think we all do wrong. We are invested too much in the outcome. We think it's our job to make sure they're convinced that Juice Plus is what they need. And that is not our job. Our job is to invite them to a presentation. and an exposure. And one exposure leads to the next exposure. And my husband talks about it like this. It's like a monkey swinging from branch to branch. You don't let go of one branch till you already have your hand on the next branch. Exposure to exposure to exposure to exposure. Okay? Your job is to get them to a series of exposures. It's 7 to 9 exposures to create an actual outcome.
Wow. 7 to 9.
Yeah. And I have Diane on here, and Diane kept saying, "Oh, I just got it right away." And then we went back and we calculated the exposures, and we were 5 exposures before she actually said yes to Juice Plus. That was her. I got it right away. Okay.
24 hours though.
Well, moving people through exposures quickly is also a talent. And that's a good thing. Yeah. And it was actually a week, but in her mind, it's still 24 hours. That's okay. Yes.
48. I'll give you 48.
So the people who went before me said exposures, multiple exposures. So I never invested my heart in an outcome of any particular conversation. I invested, as Clay Stevens says, I qualified my rules of engagement. I decided what the parameters of victory were for that conversation. So if I'm having a conversation with you right now, I already want to know what the outcome of it I want it to be. Okay? So if I'm calling you up to invite you to an event, I know which event I'm inviting you to. And if you can't make plan A, I already have plan B in mind. That's my rules of engagement. I know what the outcome is of every conversation I have. Does that make sense to you guys?
Yes.
Because if you go into a conversation, you're just having a conversation, you don't know where you want to take it, then again, what are you doing? I mean, you need to know, I'm going to go in this conversation, I'm just going to share my story. And if that's the only outcome you want, then fine. But really, in reality, the best thing we can do is learn more about that person that we're having that conversation with. Whether there's somebody we know really well, or it's somebody, a complete stranger. Okay? So do not be invested in the outcome. Extremely important. We're moving them through exposures. And we're adding value to their lives. So every time you have a conversation, whether it be with your best friend or a complete stranger in the doctor's office or the grocery line, you want to make sure you're adding value to their lives. That's what you're here to do. Every one of you signed up with this company because of that reason. Am I wrong?
That's true. Absolutely.
Every one of you is here because you understand what Juice Plus is, and you understand that everybody needs it, and you want to add value to their lives. So let's just do a check-in really quick. Does everybody on here believe 100% in Juice Plus, the product?
Yeah.
Yes.
You know beyond a shadow of doubt that it's going to benefit everybody, right?
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Okay. Does everybody on here believe 100% in Juice Plus, the business?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, so you know that Juice Plus, the business will add value to everybody's life, right?
Oh, yes. Yes. Yes.
Okay. If you've got those two things out of the way, now we can move forward. Now, we are going to add value to everybody's life, whether it be with the product or the business or our community, because we have a great community, even if nobody signs up with us on one or the other, right? So then it's moving on to the next step. So we're going to have a conversation, write this down, that leads to an invitation.
I need paper.
You came to this call without
I had
paper.
to find the phone charger. The phone was about to go dead before I come back. I'm a bad student today. I'll be back.
She's going to go away and I can't see her. Okay.
Be right back.
We're not waiting. A conversation that leads to an invitation to a presentation. Conversation, invitation, presentation. This is so important. I just want you to marinate on it for a second. Because what most of us do, especially when we're new, and we are all guilty of it, raise your hand. We are all guilty of it.
Yes.
We've all done it. We are so excited about what we have that we go and we go bleh, all over somebody. And here's the problem with that. We don't have rules of engagement. We don't have an outcome planned. And we go and throw up all over them. And they think they know everything they need to know about Juice Plus when they walk away from that conversation. And do they?
No.
No. You've only scratched the surface. That's why we have to get them to a presentation. The presentation does the work. Your job is just to make the invitation based on a really good conversation and a story that meets their needs. That leads to the invitation. Okay. Are y'all following me?
Mhm.
Okay. So when you have this conversation, you want to know who they are. And I'm going to give you guys an example. 2 weeks ago, I had 2 conversations in the same week in the same doctor's office with 2 separate nurses. I'll tell you about the first one first. I go in, it's just a diagnostic nurse. She's just checking my blood pressure and just asking questions. And as she's doing this, somehow the conversation comes up about how her daughter has eczema and asthma. Do we know anybody whose daughter has had eczema or asthma? Right.
Michelle.
Okay. And I know Michelle's story really well. But even though I know Michelle's story really well, I don't need to go in great detail. And I don't need to tell this woman 6,000 other stories on top of it. What I need to do is stay focused. So I said things like, wow, that must be really hard. What have you done for that? Have you tried anything natural for that? And then I said, you know, I had a really good friend who had the same issue with her daughter, and Juice Plus really helped her. And I handed her my card and I said, if you text me at this phone number, I'll send you her flipogram so you can learn more. And she was so excited by the time I left that office. She was following me out to make sure that I texted her with that flipogram. That was it. Now I've continued to build my relationship with her. I've invited her to several things. I've continued to share how I can add value to her life beyond just Juice Plus, okay? Because that's the beautiful community we have. That's all I did. That's as simple as it gets. Do you think I could have talked her into and right back out of Juice Plus again in that conversation? By telling her too much? I could have. I could have told her my story. I could have told her Janice's story. I could have told her Paige's story. I could have told her everybody's story. And then she'd be like, oh my God, I need to do some research because I don't know about this. But I didn't do that. I specifically catered my conversation to her needs. End of story. Told her my rules of engagement, which was text me at this number. I'll send you this flipogram, which is exactly what I did. Period. End of story. She was excited. I sent her the flipogram and she responded to me right away. Same week, I'm having a cardiovascular ultrasound, which is awkward, by the way, because you are exposed. If you're a woman, it's really weird. But even though it was awkward and this young woman is doing my ultrasound, I'm sitting there going, you know what, I'm going to have a conversation with her. So I just had a conversation, you know, and I just asked her questions. And in this conversation, and I would ask her a question and wait for her to answer. And guess what I didn't do? I didn't tell her something about me right afterwards. I asked her a question. She responded. I asked her another question. She responded. Until I got to the point where I knew what her pain is. Remember I said if you don't know what somebody's pain is, you have nothing to say to them? So we had quite a conversation before we got to the pain. And what I found out about her is that she'd been really sick and she couldn't afford to go to the doctor. And she had children who also struggled with health issues, and her whole family struggled with anxiety and depression, bipolar, and all kinds of issues. So then guess whose story I shared? My story of depression, right? And what Juice Plus had done for me. And I said, you know what? I really feel what you're going through. I struggled with the same exact kind of things. And I asked her before that, have you tried anything natural for that? And she said, I try really hard to eat well. I just struggle with it. And I said, you know, it is really hard, isn't it? And I didn't even go into the fact that I juiced 2 quarts of vegetable juice a day. And I didn't go to all that. I just said I had the same issues. I really struggle with the same kind of things. And then I found this thing called Juice Plus, and it really helped me. If you text me at this phone number, I'll send you my mobile business card and you can get more information. And again, she followed me to the front, making sure I texted her before I left the office. Because I gave her just enough information that applied directly to her so that she was engaged and excited about a solution. Is that making sense to all of you?
Yeah.
Do you see how you could have a conversation that could talk somebody in and right back out of Juice Plus again?
Yeah.
And we all do it. I'm not accusing, I'm not blaming, I'm not criticizing, because we all have done it. Every one of us. We need to be excited and confident, but at the same time be relevant and specific.
Can I ask you a question?
Yes, who is that?
Vicki,
Okay.
when you started asking her questions, how did you pose those questions that you started asking her?
I just asked her simple questions.
Like what?
How are you today?
And if she said fine, how did you get past that? Because most people say fine.
In general, they do. So you had a good week? I'll just ask another question that applies to the same kind of question. You had a good week?
And she probably said,
By
yeah,
the time I asked question number 2, honestly, if you said, how's your day been? And somebody said, fine, which you're right, Vicki. And most people do that. You're right. And I said, but if I said, so you've had a good week? Most of the time by then, I promise you, they're going to say, well, actually, and that's what she did. I knew way more about this girl by the time she was done than I should have ever known about anybody. I knew about bipolar, depression, anxiety, money problems, all in a very short conversation. And that's what, and people need to be heard. They
yeah,
want to be heard.
yeah,
And what I didn't do was tell her all about me. I just listened to her
yeah,
and I empathized with her.
yeah.
So that is a very good question, because sometimes we do run into those dead ends, right? We've all run into those dead ends. So you do need to go ahead and ask another question. Anybody else have another example of a dead end? We've all done that. We've definitely run into dead end. Hey, how are you? I'm good.
I think you had the advantage because she had you know, I'm sure even though her job is to look at your private parts or do that intimate, it still makes her awkward too. So you kind of like put her at ease by maybe talking to her, and when you're in those, you know, that situation maybe made it actually to your advantage because
Sure.
she felt open enough to tell you, maybe tell you more than she needed to. There you go.
True, but I honestly believe if you take the time to ask some people a few serious questions, that they are going to do this anyway. But you are right, Lisa. I was exposed.
Well, in being in the bartending, I know people that have a drink or stuff. They want to tell you. People just want to, and you just have to be quiet. That's going to be my thing. Is listen.
There you go. So you already have practice at this.
Yes, I do. I just need to practice the listening, a little more listening.
And here's the big thing with that particular conversation that I had. I was like this, let me just have a conversation and see where it goes.
Yeah.
And then I started hearing Juice Plus needs. And so I went, hey, I think I'll just propose Juice Plus and see where it goes. I wasn't invested in the outcome.
Right. Right.
If you have a conversation with somebody or more than somebody every day where you're not invested in the outcome, you're having so many conversations that you don't really mind where it goes. If it goes someplace, great. If it doesn't, no big deal. But we get so wrapped up in the 1 or 2 or 5 people or 10 people that we're talking to that we forget to just have really great conversations everywhere we go and not be invested in the outcome.
Right.
But if you were having 2 of those kind of conversations every day and half of them went where they were supposed to, you're doing good, right? This girl I'm still in contact with today, she was supposed to come to Paige's smoothie party on Saturday. And guess what she told me on Saturday? I'm thinking about whether or not I'm going to leave my husband. I was really going to come today, but I can't decide if I'm leaving my husband. Do I have another opportunity to talk to her about now?
Wow.
So she's still being completely open with me, right? I've created, in a very short period of time, I've created a rapport with someone that's allowed them to feel comfortable enough with me to tell me these kind of things.
Yeah. Yeah.
Why? Just because I listened and I cared enough to add value to her life and listen to her. And I was not invested in the outcome. I didn't care which way this went. By the time it came to Juice Plus, I went, let's see. I'll throw it out there. Let's see what happens. And she's like, yeah, she's following me to the front door. Make sure you text me. Here's my number. You know, she was texting me right away. But it could have just as easily gone the other way, and I would have been okay with that too.
Well, and no pressure. If she didn't show up for that one, then you can say you can come again because
I will
take your day off, or you need to see your husband that day, or
exactly. Here's some things you're looking for, though. Okay, what makes them tick? What makes them tick? What is their pain? What do they need? What do they love? What are they passionate about? What are they concerned about? What are they frustrated about? What are they committed to? Are you hearing the theme in these kind of words? They're strong, committed words, right? Those are the kind of things you're looking for. What do they hate? If somebody says, oh God, I hate it when that happens, or I hate this about this, do you think you have something to talk to them about? Yeah. And then you're going to say, oh my gosh, really? What do you hate about that? Have you tried anything to change that? Or if they say they love something, same thing. Oh my goodness, I love nutrition. Oh, really? Tell me more about that. What do you love about nutrition? What have you done with nutrition? Great conversation. Just have a great conversation where you're asking a lot of questions. The challenge a lot of times in the beginning with these things is to have conversations where you're just having a great conversation, asking people questions, and you're not making it a two-way conversation per se right off the bat, which is awkward for most of us, right?
especially new, maybe not always knowing all the answers or how everything, even though you know that almost every category of life, there's somehow, like you said, if it's eczema or if it's depression or if it's weight loss or if it's, but sometimes, like when I heard you say that about depression, I know that I felt that, and I know nutrition makes you feel better, but I didn't really get that it had helped you that much. I missed that part of I don't know that part of your story. So, that's a big thing for me. I think that's really helped me recently. And exercise, I know, was the key before, but I didn't really get the nutrition down good enough to know that was helping me. So now, and I think so many women, especially, that's a really good, common, whether it's just being overwhelmed with life or whatever, that it can help you is good to know. I'd like to know more about that.
And that's the beautiful thing about coming together like this is you get to hear other people's stories. And so it builds your belief in the product and the business, but it also gives you stories to share it with people, because my story might not apply to everybody. In the case of the first conversation I told you about, Michelle's story applied, and I didn't tell my story. I didn't waste my time. We need to keep it extremely simple.
Too much. Yeah.
Yeah. Everything needs to be simple. So I didn't waste my time telling her my story. It wasn't relevant. I only told her Michelle's story. Doesn't that make more sense to you guys?
Absolutely.
Instead of trying to oversell, oh my gosh, yeah, my friend Michelle, da da da, and then me, and then my friend Janice, and blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
No, don't do it. That's a mistake. Just keep it simple. You know what? My friend Michelle had that issue with her daughter, and you know what? She found this thing called Juice Plus, and it really helped. I think it'll help you too. If you're open, do this. Here's what I want you to do. You tell them their next step. That's an important part of the situation too, is being able to tell them what you want them to do next and being confident enough in what you're doing to be able to tell them what the rules of engagement are, what their next step is. Very important. So finding out their health goals and what they do, pretty much if you have any conversation with anybody for any length of time, you're going to find out either a health or a financial need. One of my favorite questions, which I asked the girl who was doing my echocardiogram, was, well, have you tried anything natural for that? And I got this from Janice. Well, have you tried anything natural for that? And another one is, well, have the doctors told you anything to do about that? What have the doctors suggested you do about that? But my favorite by all time is, have you tried anything natural for that? And this girl said, well, I try really hard to eat healthy, but it's difficult. Do we have a solution? Do we have an affordable solution? A very affordable solution, right? That comes down to being confident too. You've got to be confident in your product. You've got to be confident we have the best thing out there for the best price. What we have to offer, powdered produce, the thing we have our hands on is the most amazing thing we can give. And it's a beautiful gift we get to give everybody every day. Okay? So, and here's the other thing. Let's switch gears a little bit. What if you're inviting somebody to something that you already know? Here's a couple of things that I think are really important. I think it's really important that you give them a genuine compliment. A genuine compliment, not a made up compliment, but something that you really think about them. Who doesn't love to hear something that somebody loves about you? Right? Every one of us does, right?
Absolutely.
But also the reason that you're thinking about them. So if you're inviting somebody to take a look at Juice Plus, which should be an invitation to an event can be looking at your business card, looking at a video, coming to a presentation. An event can mean all kinds of things. An event isn't that conversation you're having with them right then when you're making the invitation. Do you understand the distinguishing parameters here? If you call somebody up, you're going to tell them your story with rules of engagement, which is going to be an invitation to something, which you're already going to know what that invitation to that something is. Your plan A and your plan B. Plan A, I'm going to invite them to Goose's Acre on Thursday night. If they can't do that, I'm going to have coffee with them on Friday. But I'm only going to offer them one solution at a time, one invitation at a time. So a genuine compliment, why you're thinking about them, and then what you want them to do, the action that you want them to take, the rules of engagement. Are y'all following this?
Mm-hmm.
Now,
Can I
just
ask a question?
Yes, go ahead. Mick.
So when you say you would ask them to Goose's Acre on Thursday and they can't go, then right away you ask if you can have coffee with them on Friday?
You betcha. Because here's what I did know from the beginning. If I'm going to have somebody on that call or I'm having a text conversation with them, we did more calls back then than we did text. I am not going to waste that moment and not take that opportunity to make that next step. I did not ever waste a phone call or a text message.
Okay.
I've already engaged them in a conversation. I've already told them a genuine compliment, why I'm thinking about them, and probably a story, right? So and I've asked them to something. And if they can't make that, I don't let that go. I immediately invite them to the next step. Always. Because remember that monkey? One branch to the next branch to the next branch, never letting go of one branch till you have a hold of the next one. If you guys do these little simple things, it will revolutionize your business. And I do want to tell you that I'm giving you guys a lot of information tonight. This is an overview. We're going to go back and break this down, okay? Right now, I'm giving you a big overview, and over the next couple of weeks, we'll break it down into a little bit more specifics that you can apply more regularly. And I'm covering a lot of stuff because I get really excited about this, and I want you guys to know it because I want you guys to be successful, okay? So, in fact, I probably have 10 pages of notes for tonight, which we won't cover. And also, always remember, this is not about you. None of these conversations are about you. None of these invitations are about you. You may share your story, but it's not about you. It's always about them, how you can add value to their life, right? What you can do for them. And it's really important always to be interesting. I just totally messed it up. Scratch. To be interested, not interesting. And in our lives, we've been taught to be interesting, right? We're having conversations. We're going to be interesting. We're going to tell this. We're going to tell that. Not in these cases. We want to be interested in them. It's all about them. It's all about adding value to their lives, not ours. Our lives are valuable enough. We need to add value to theirs, right? We have something amazing, whether it be the product or the business. So we want to make sure that we are interested in them to help solve their needs. Okay? Okay. So here's the bottom line. You're going to have a conversation that leads to an invitation to a presentation. When you move past this point, then you're going to go into the actual presentation. When you get to the presentation point, you're still in high yielding question mode. You're still asking questions. You're still finding out about them. Whether it be a conversation or a presentation, you have to establish a rapport with somebody. You may have the best presentation in the world. You may have all the best high-yielding questions in the world, but if you don't ask the question, listen for the answer, and apply your next question or answer to their problem, then you've missed the boat. So you've got to listen, 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 listen. Are y'all following this? Does this make sense to you? Because I have great questions. I can be in front of the room asking great questions all day long. But if I ask great questions, but I don't hear somebody's pain, establish that rapport with that person, hear that pain, and then apply my next question or my solution to their pain, I've missed the boat. Right? You've got to listen to them. You've got to hear where they're coming from and apply your next step, your solution, or whatever your next part of your conversation is to what that pain is. And honestly, I think this is why I'm really successful from the front of the room. A few of you were here the other night when I was at Goose's Acre, and so you can probably attest. It doesn't matter what answer somebody gives me. I'm going to take that situation and I'm going to dig in. For example, one of the questions I usually ask in front of the room is energy level. How's your energy level? That night, there was a young man who said, my energy's fine. And that could throw a lot of you. Oh, their energy's fine. What do I do now? But instead I went, oh, wow, your energy's fine. Great. Hey, but I bet you have a lot of friends your age who still have energy issues, don't you? And he goes, oh, yeah, lots of them. And honestly, if I dug in deeper, which I didn't do because we were in a room full of people, I bet I could have found out he was drinking coffee or an energy drink or something, which I would have done one-on-one to find out for the truth of his situation. But I complimented him for where he was, but I still said, but I bet you know people, right? And he said, yes. And then, of course, other people are saying, yeah, I have energy issues. Does that make sense to you guys?
Yes.
Okay. So establish a rapport, find the person's pain, whether that be in a conversation in the grocery store line, a conversation where you're calling somebody up to invite them to something, or you're presenting in front of the room. You've got to find their pain. And then you tailor your presentation or your conversation to their need. and you offer a next step. You offer rules of engagement. You offer a solution. Okay? Does that make sense? Okay, I'm going to pause for a second because I know I'm shooting through things really fast and you guys are probably having questions. So tell me what you guys are thinking.
I was just writing down everything you were saying. Establish the rapport, find the person's pain, tailor the conversation to their pain. And because I didn't have my paper at first, but I have the conversation to the invitation to the presentation. I haven't heard any of that before, so that's great. I'm
Okay, so
learning.
let's stop there for a second. How many of you guys are brand new?
I am.
Mo, Vicky,
And me, I think I'm brand new.
Lisa, you're pretty brand new, and
I'm
Heather.
restarting, yes.
Okay, so you're brand new because you're restarting.
Yes.
Paige, you're under 6 months, so you're still pretty new. Okay, so we have quite a few people who are pretty new. Okay, it's so tempting when you're really new to tell somebody everything. And back when I first started, we had this little book, and it helped us write our story, and it told us our next steps. And I remember reading my story, walking next door to my neighbor, and saying, with a video in my hand, and saying, blah 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 blah. Here's my story. Here, watch this video, and we're doing a lunch tomorrow if you want to come. I mean, that's what I did. I mean, that was it. And honestly, it worked. She came the next day. She signed up, and she's now a team member. So it worked. But it was very specific. I said what I needed to say. I gave the invitation. I got out of there. But when we're brand new and we're calling to invite somebody, we want to convince them. You need to come, and here's why. And we want to tell them all the reasons why. We want to tell them 6 ways to Sunday. We want to have them sold before they ever get there. That's a mistake, guys. It is a mistake. You're going to have less people come to your presentations than you have desired, or taking those next steps than you have desired, because you're talking too much. So if you have somebody on your list, this is the best thing you can do. Go to your upline and say, I want to invite this person to Thursday's presentation. What do I say? And this is what I did. Right, Janice?
Yep.
I said, what do I say? And she goes, tell me about them. So, and I say, blah, 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 blah. You know, they're this, they're that. And she goes, well, why do you think I'm in regards to Juice Plus? And I said, well, because they need this. And here's one of the questions I asked my team. Well, do they know they need better nutrition? Do they know their kids eat like crap? Because it's one thing for me to say, hey, Susie, I'm calling you about Juice Plus because I know your kids eat like crap. Versus, hey, Susie, we've talked before about how much trouble you've had getting your kids to eat fruits and vegetables. We've talked before, right?
Right.
There's a huge difference. If I call somebody up and say, here's your problem, but they don't know it's a problem for them yet, it's a problem. Now I've created a problem where there didn't need to be one. So if I don't know their pain particularly, and they're a good friend of mine, that's okay. If I have a generalized reason why I'm thinking of them, that's good too. And I tell them my story, that's okay. Because a lot of you guys, these are your friends. These are the people you love. Remember that. And if you just did nothing but called them and said, hey, I've fallen in love with something and I'm calling you because I love you and I really want you to come see about this, that would be enough. But if you call them up and say, hey, I found something and blah, 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 and her story and his story and his story and her story and his story, and I really want you to come to this thing, well, you're less likely to come to that thing because you've already told them her story and his story and her story and the research and this and that and the other, and you've already talked them in and out again. They hang up and they think they know everything they need to know about Juice Plus. Does that make sense to you guys? This is so important.
Yes,
It does.
yes.
So important.
That's so me too.
And it's been all of us, hasn't it, Janice? It has been Debbie. It's been all of us. I don't want you to feel bad about it because every one
Great
of us.
tips.
We have
Alicia,
all done this.
Can I tell just a quick
Yes,
story?
absolutely.
So I've been doing a lot of just networking, networking with new people to increase my warm market. And so there was a gal I met who her business is providing health insurance for healthy people. So we kind of had a connection. We met at Starbucks and she wanted to, give me her whole spiel about her health insurance, which I was happy to hear it. But I told her at the start, sometimes we don't understand how important it is to listen to people and make them feel heard. So at the very start, I said, she had told me, as we were setting it up, like kind of verbally vomited to me about, all this stuff about this healthcare program or health insurance. And one of the things she kept saying is we have low deductibles. We have zero. And so before she even started, I said, I don't want to sound arrogant. I said, but I take a lot of steps to maintain my health and make sure that I'm healthy going forward. I said, low deductibles are of no significance to me. I haven't been to a doctor in over 10 years. So I don't care what the deductible is. I just want to pay the least price I can per month for health insurance. If I'm in a serious accident, I want it to cover me. That's all I care about.
Mm-hmm.
So I told her that. Well, she gave me her whole, and granted, she's new, and I give her, a little bit of leeway for that.
Mm-hmm.
She gave me a 45-minute spiel going through this whole notebook and all this stuff. And every 3 minutes, she was telling me about their low deductibles. I mean, I literally got to the point where I was rolling my eyes at her because I don't care about low deductibles.
So was she listening to you?
Obviously not. And it by the end, I was pissed.
You were closing
I was
down.
really angry because she kept telling me she was wasting my time, telling me about all this stuff that I don't care about. And I told her I don't care about it.
You tried to let her off the hook from the beginning by telling her what you did want.
She told her the rules of engagement, right? And the woman didn't listen. And she did one other really big mistake. She did a presentation.
She just HLP'd.
Oh, somebody just HLP. But regardless, that woman.
We were meeting at Starbucks for
Oh, you were? Okay.
class, and
Okay.
I was going to hear about her stuff. She talked for so long, she used all of our time, and I never got to tell her anything about Juice Plus.
I just want to know who just HLP. I can't stop thinking about that now. Who just HLP?
What?
I heard somebody say she just HLP.
Oh, we can't see Lisa. And
Oh.
who's talking?
We still can't see
And-
Lisa.
We still can't see Lisa, but
You
I just
can't
told her
see
that
me?
No.
we can't
Oh.
see you, but I just told Dusty that Lisa and Mo just HLP'd.
Yes, we
this
did.
week.
And didn't Dusty
I
just
thought
got
I was
you.
on here now.
No, we just can't see you.
I'm sorry.
We can hear you.
So anyway, Janice, sorry, you were in a presentation situation, but she wasn't hearing you. She didn't listen, and she did not tailor the presentation towards your needs,
Right.
which is so important, guys. How are you? Everybody on here agreed in the beginning. We don't want to be salespeople, right?
Right.
Well,
Right.
the most salesy thing you can do is convince somebody of something that they have no desire or need to know. That's the most salesy thing you can do. If you're not listening to them, if you're not genuinely listening to them, understanding their pain, finding their need, and then tailoring your conversation, your presentation, your invitation to their need, then you're being a salesperson because you're selling them something they don't need. And nobody wants that. Nobody wants to be sold. Nobody wants to be a salesperson unless you are literally like a salesperson. But most of us come to this because we have great hearts and we found something that we believe in, not because we want to be salespeople, right? So if you don't want to be that person, then every piece of advice I'm telling you today will keep you from being that person. And the distinction between an invitation, a conversation, an invitation, a presentation is huge. It's huge. So what kind of questions could you ask? Michelle, you want to play with me for a few minutes?
Yeah, can you hear me okay? Because I'm
Yeah.
driving.
So Michelle, what do you do?
Well, that's a good question. I'm a personal trainer, and I also sell nutritional supplements.
Oh, wow.
Plus,
You sell nutritional supplements? So what do you like more? What do you like more? Your personal training business or your Juice Plus business?
oh, good. I love the Juice Plus business. I've been doing
Yeah.
personal training for a very long time, and I'm kind of burnt out on it.
Yeah. So that's what took you to the other business?
Actually, do you want me to tell my story?
No, I just wanted you to play with me right now.
Okay. Actually, what brought me to Juice Plus was my daughter who needed Juice Plus. I just fell in love with the community and the people and the product, and I just started to become a rep.
And how long have you been doing that?
I've been doing it for about 5 years.
Hmm. What do you love about it?
I love the community and the people and the energy and helping other people and making people stronger and healthier, both mentally, physically, and financially.
So let me ask you a question. Do you have kids?
I do. I have two, 21
Yeah.
year old and a 15-year-old.
Okay. Wow. What's your favorite thing to do with your kids?
Well, we like to we like to travel, and we like to kind of hang out at the house and do things together when we are together.
You like to travel?
Yes.
What kind of traveling do you do?
Well, I like to travel. I do a lot of traveling with my business, which I really enjoy. We go different places a couple times a year, San Antonio, Dallas a lot. And
That sounds like fun.
yeah, it's a lot of fun. But we mostly we travel. We like to camp and drive to different places. We just took a trip to Nashville and went the scenic route to Florida up through Georgia and then into Nashville, or not Nashville, but Nashville, Tennessee.
So do you get to do this traveling that you like to do a lot?
Not as often as I'd like to.
You like to do it more? Where would you go if you could do it more?
Oh my gosh, I would go, definitely, I would take a lot more trips overseas.
Oh, yeah?
More of Europe, and I'd love to go back to Italy.
Oh, you've been to Italy before?
Oh yes. My parents lived in Italy for 10 years, so I spent a lot of time in Rome, and we take small trips outside of Rome. It was fun.
Ah, sounds like it's a place you really love to go.
Yes.
So let me ask you a question. If there was one thing you could change about your life, what would that be?
I would say financial freedom.
Oh,
Yes.
so tell me more about that.
Well, I feel like I'm a little bit trapped and tied down to a lot of debt that I don't want. And if I had a little bit more financial freedom, I could travel more and do things, do a lot more things with my children and my family.
What would that mean for your life? How would your life be different if you had this financial freedom that you speak of?
Be a lot less stress. Be a lot more spirituality and just freedom to be with my family and to do the things that we love. My husband wants to be in ministry, and we're kind of trapped to our jobs right now, so we're unable to travel and do the kind of things that he wants to do.
So what I'm hearing you say is if you had this one wish that you could have, if you were financially free, it would change your life significantly because you wouldn't be tied to certain jobs and your husband could have the ministry that he wants and you could travel with your children where you wanted to go. Is that right?
Yes, exactly.
So on a scale of 1 to 10, how serious are you about that?
10.
Okay. Do I have something to talk to Michelle about now?
Yep.
I have something to offer her, don't I? Okay. And it really literally is that easy. We had, a 2 or 3 minute conversation. But I genuinely cared about her. I'm listening to her. I'm trying to figure out what her pain is and do I have a solution or not. And whether or not she accepts my solution is not up to me. My problem or my intent is to offer her a solution. So my next step would be to say, I found something. I'm very much like you, Michelle. I really wanted to travel and I really want to leave this legacy for my children. This is what I want more than anything. I dream about traveling like somewhere every month, first class. That's always been my dream. And I really feel like I found something that's going to offer me that kind of freedom. I think it's exactly what you might be looking for as well. If you're open, I'd love to share more. Are you open? She muted herself.
I'm open.
Awesome. So then I would schedule an appointment for a what? A presentation. Yeah. And I'm going to share my products and my business with her. And at the end of the conversation, we will go somewhere, right? We'll either have a business, we'll either sign her up for the products or the business at the end of that conversation, or have a next step to the next exposure, because we're always going from one exposure to the next. But literally, it really is that easy. And she's already on our team, and I still got her to that place. No, but really, it's all about caring about people and hearing their needs and their pain. Really, it's about hearing their pain.
And
What they want.
can I say one more thing?
Yes, ma'am. Of course.
Okay. So when you asked me to do this playing with you earlier before
Yeah.
we started the call,
Yeah.
I told you I was nervous, right? I
Yeah.
don't do well in front of people
Yeah.
and I don't like to talk.
Yeah.
But the questions that you asked and the way you led me, by the end I was genuinely answering your questions.
Mhm.
And I started to feel what you
Yeah.
were asking me.
Yeah.
So
And did
thought
I really share very much about myself when I was having that conversation with her? Not much,
Nothing.
right? Not much at all. No.
And
Did you? Go ahead, Janice.
one thing I just want to point out, because I've had, Vicki, we talked about this last week. Nowhere in that conversation did Alicia say, oh, you need to do this.
Right.
Nobody likes that either, do
We're
they?
all adults, and most of us are moms, and we get so in the habit of telling people what they need to do.
Mhm.
And that, I don't know about you all, but I don't like somebody else telling me what
Mhm.
I need to do.
Well, I think people who are attracted to this industry don't like people telling them what to do. I think that people who are attracted to this industry are independent minded, self-starters and things like that. And so, yes, I may need to be led, and I'm extremely teachable, which has allowed me to be successful, but I still don't want you to say, you need to do this, you have to do that. That's going to turn people off. They're going to go away from us if we do that, whether it be at this point or later. If they're on our team, we're saying, I need you to do this, you need to do that. They're still going to go away. So that's a really good point. We do need to phrase our words well.
Right.
We want them to be inviting words,
Right.
words that inspire them to take next steps.
Right.
Okay. So things like, what are you really passionate about? If you could change one thing, what would it be? How serious are you about that? On a scale of 1 to 10, how serious are you about that? How would you like to be different if? And then you can say things, and especially when you get to a presentation point, you've had this conversation, you sit down and have a presentation with somebody, and you can say, when we talked before, you told me you really wanted to be able to travel and have financial freedom, Michelle, so that your husband could explore his ministry and you could leave this legacy with your children where you guys traveled and did things together as a family. And, after having that conversation with you, I really thought what I had was definitely for you, but now I know for sure that it is. And then I can go into a presentation and describe to her why this is perfect for her. Right? Does that make sense to you guys?
Yes.
Okay. So the important things: do not oversell, do not overtalk, listen, listen, listen. Find out somebody's pain before you give them a solution. Invite them to a presentation. Don't give them a presentation. Exposures, 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 exposures. One exposure to the next exposure, the next exposure, the next exposure. These are all really, really key things. If you can just do these simple things, it can change your business completely. And believe me, every one of us has been standing in the Starbucks line and giving somebody a presentation, and their eyes glazed over and they step two steps back and they cross their arms, and we're like, oh, we did something wrong here. Every one of us has had that happen. And we've had it happen with our own friends and family. It took my dad, I think, two and a half years to get on the product. My dad. And guess what, guys? I'm a wellness professional, and it still took him 2.5 years, and he had to hear it from somebody else. And those are just the facts. That's just how it is. That's what our family's supposed to do. But our job is to learn how to conduct ourselves in a way that inspires people to take the next step by caring about them, adding massive value to their lives, finding their pain, and offering a simple solution, to the point, direct solution, knowing what the next step is going to be for them and offering them that next step. That's what we do. That's our job. And if we do this well, then we're going to find that we're going to be doing a lot more presentations and having a lot more guests at our events because of the way we've handled these conversations. And that's our goal, right?
Yeah.
Right. We definitely don't want to burn through all of our contacts by throwing up all over them and talking them right in and right back out again. We want to take the time to make sure that the conversation is productive and that we already know what the next step's going to be. And if that next step doesn't work for them, then what the next step after that's going to be, what we're going to offer them next. Very important. Very important. Does anybody have any questions? Okay, so here's what I want you guys to do for the next week. 2 things. If you guys are working towards getting people to presentations, I want you to work directly with your upline for those invitations. I want you to ask your upline, what am I going to say to this person? And get them to help you have those conversations so they're the most productive conversations that you can have, number 1. Number 2, on a daily basis, I want you guys to walk around and start having conversations with everybody that involve being able to walk away from every conversation having asked 5 questions. So you're in the grocery store line with the checkout person. I want you to ask them 5 questions before that checkout's finished without you saying anything about yourself. And yes, Vicki, it could be, how's your day? Yeah, it's fine. Oh, so you've had a really good week? Isn't that a question that they can, yeah, I've had a good week, or no, I really haven't had a good week. I mean, that's going to go somewhere, right? So even if they say, yeah, fine, still go ahead and ask them another question.
Okay.
5 questions. Every time you're in front of somebody, ask 5 questions. This will give you the practice of getting into conversations where you just ask questions.
Right.
And they don't have to turn into just plus conversations right now.
Right.
But if they do, you better have a plan in mind where you're going to, what step you're going to take next. Does everybody have a mobile business card on here? We are so lucky we get to have mobile business cards. So that is a great next step. I'm loving the mobile business card. It works great for me. Okay. So you're going to just have that in the back of your mind. So, you know, if it goes that direction, you can say, you know what, if you text me right here at this number, I'll send you my mobile business card right now. That's working great for me. Okay. 5 questions. So if you're inviting people to events this week, work with your upline about every single one of those conversations. And secondly, every person you're in front of, work on asking just 5 questions before you walk away from that. And then we're going to reconvene next week and let's talk about the conversations you've had and let's work on these and let's refine this and we'll go to the next level. How's that sound?
Sounds great.
Yeah. Awesome. Okay.
Thank you.